It was a dramatic Manchester derby. We had the big talking point coming after just 11 minutes. Roy Keane, Micah Richards and Daniel Sturridge all thought Anthony Taylor should have sent Diogo Dalot off for a knee-high foul. Jeremy Doku, the referee, awarded a yellow card. VAR, Craig Pawson agreed, deeming the contact to be glancing and not with excessive force. So, look, I'm going to get straight to Dermot on this one. Should it have been upgraded to a red? Let's go with this to start with.
I speak solely for myself, Hayley. I thought it was a red card anyhow. I think he's gone in high, he's gone in straight-legged, he's hit him with his studs on his knee. The ball's not there, the ball's gone. So for me, it's a red card, but others think not.
What do you reckon, Jay?
I mean, I can't believe Dalot's trying to appeal and say, I can't believe that's a yellow card. Yeah, it's a terrible challenge. I think the priority for referees is the player's safety. And when you see challenges like that, I mean, Doku could have ended up really hurt. And I don't understand the terminology of glancing. To me, that wasn't a glancing challenge. When you say that word to me, glancing, it sounds like brushed off someone or clipped. His studs are up. It's above the ankle, which is deemed dangerous in the rules, which is a straight red. So I don't understand how they've got this wrong. I don't understand how they've looked at that and said that is not a straight red card. It's a terrible decision. That's going to be one of the worst decisions of the season. Yeah,
look, before we go and have a look at the actual terminology, I just want to ask this as well about Taylor maybe surprised he wasn't sent to the monitor, and if he was, and he sees those pictures that we are looking at, does he change his mind 100%. To a red?
Well, he didn't get sent to the monitor, did he? So he saw what he saw on the field. He didn't think it was with force or intensity, obviously. You know, that's why he made his decision. I've got the hindsight of multiple replays. When I see that, I think it's a red card.
And just one thing to add on that before we go on is that Dalot is running over to him. Yeah. So there is going to be the element of force because he's going toward him. You know, so I don't understand how they say there's no force there. There is force because momentum adds force to a challenge. I don't understand that either. I mean, I think everyone that's seen this is very confused, apart from certain people. Apart from certain people, not Dermot, by the way.
Look, we're looking at the considerations for serious foul play, particularly endangering an opponent and point of contact. Look, can you see the terminology used by the official contradicts, actually, the laws that they've based their decision on, Dermot?
Well, I can't fight you, Hayley, and I'm not going to try because, as I said, my opinion only, I think if a player goes with a straight leg and connects force, it's interesting because people say to me about, you look at it in slow motion, it looks different, you see the freeze frame, but the freeze frame really is there for point of contact.
Yes.
And if you freeze frame it, you see the point of contact is knee high. I just think that for me is one of the key factors. The other thing is the ball's gone.
But even that there, the word, look, tackle or challenge that endangers the safety of an opponent, just that alone, when someone comes in with a straight leg onto a knee, like, Doku is lucky because if his foot is in the ground, that's going to push his knee back. His season's going to be over. That in itself, I mean, every time I see it, it just gets worse and worse. The angle is the worst because you can see his knee jar back again. Higher than the ankle. I mean, we've seen challenges this year which are just above the ankle that get a red card. That challenge is on his kneecap. And that alone, again, should say it's a red card. But again, I'm confused. And these are the decisions where I come on there and I'm like, how do they get that wrong? What in the VAR room, what are they looking at where they can say that is not a red card? The interpretation of how they describe challenges, the terminology they use to describe challenges to me, it confuses everyone. And, you know, the fact that they use that word glancing, that makes absolutely no sense to me at all.
Staying with you, Jay, on this, because a little bit earlier on, you look back at an incident, you said straight away, you remember the Miles Lewis Skelly against Wolves as well. We're going to have a look at this one here.
Yeah, I mean, and look, this one here is Skelly's caught him on the top of his foot. I mean, it's on the top of the lower part of his ankle. But he's caught him. He got a red card for that.
Yeah.
He got a red card for that.
Whoa, let's be fair.
Yeah.
That was overturned. The referee was deemed to have made a mistake.
Okay, but I'm saying to you, he's still given a red card for that initially.
Yeah, initially, but let's have balance. It's not a good comparison because that was deemed not to be a red card.
No, I understand that part, but I'm saying on the field, that is deemed a red card. Yeah. This one on the field is deemed a yellow card. Yeah. This one on Doku is 100 times worse than that one. And that's what I'm saying. So when I look at that and I'm saying, how can Skelly's one be a red card on the field, even though it got overturned, and that one is only a yellow card? The consistency is way off.
Well,
way off.
I think they're different tackles. I think the Skelly one, the referee thought he caught him on the Achilles with his studs, and he hadn't.
He caught him in the front of the foot, not even the back.
I get that. But the referee, in motion, thought he caught him on the Achilles. That's why he sent him off, because, as we saw with Xavi Simons the other week, that's something the referee's clamped down.
Did that one there go to... Sorry, I can't remember that one. Did that go to VAR as well, the Skelly one? I'm sure it did.
It did, yeah.
Yeah, so he shouldn't be thinking anything, because obviously you can see the VAR, you can see the replay, and it would show you that he didn't get caught on his Achilles. So he still got caught on the top of his foot, and that is a lot, let's say, nicer than that Doku challenge. And this is consistency, and this is what everyone complains about. This is what I complain about all the time: the consistency of the way they interpret. That's a red card on the field. That's a yellow card, and that is a lot worse than Skelly's one.
You're bearing in mind that with Skelly when making that decision then, and what about the timing of the decision as well, Dermot? You've obviously refereed big derbies, doesn't come much bigger than this. Does the fact that it's come so early in the game maybe help Dalot here?
I don't think so, because you're talking about one of the best referees in the world. So he will go in, and his message to his assistants and himself will be, let's hit the ground running. Once we blow the whistle, we start. It's, you can't give an amnesty of 10, 15 minutes. You've got to be alert, because something goes wrong in the first minute, you've lost the game there. You've got to be very mindful of, you've got to be positive from the outset.
Can I just see that again, please? Because I'd like to see Anthony Taylor's position on that one. Was he blocked? Was he blocked for the Dalot challenge? Could he actually see it? I don't know if we can see the angle, if we can see where the referee is on this challenge. It doesn't look like it, but would his... Sorry, we're just waiting now.
Yeah, would his positioning... No.
Yeah, because, I mean, if his positioning is from behind Dalot, then I can understand why he might miss it. But if it's slightly to the side, like here... I mean, he should be able to see that still. The fact that he's only, 20 yards away, he should be able to see that his foot's caught him on the knee. So, again, there's no excuses as to he didn't see it. He's at an angle where he could see it.
It may also be he felt that he's gone down the side of his knee rather than...
But if he's gone down the side of his... Wherever he's gone down the side of, whether it's inside or the outside, he's still gone onto his knee.
He is, but I'm just saying he may have felt
above the
differently.
ankle.
Yeah. And just a question for you, Dermot. Do you know, because it is a derby, do referees take that into consideration because they know it's going to be a bit more feisty, so they let certain things go they wouldn't normally let go?
No, that's what I said to Hayley earlier. You've got to be mindful. You've got to be positive, because if you let something go in the first minute, you're chasing your tail for the rest of the game. And also, because you're standing over everybody, and they've got to be consistent. So I miss something in the first minute, I've got to miss it for another 89 then.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
Look, United had 3 goals ruled for offside in the first half. There was Bruno Fernandes allowed to play on and have the chance to then score, of course. Dermot, a good decision, given how tight it was and how important it is for the assistant to delay that flag going up.
I think it's a really good decision by Gary Bessick. I think it's first class. And I think it's also good that in situations like this, because it is so tight, that you allow it to play out, because whatever happens, you're going to get the right outcome. If the assistant raises his flag and then he is just onside, it's too late because the damage is done. You let it play out, you can come back like he did, offside, it's checked, given offside.
Yeah, I completely agree there. When I watched that, I actually thought it was onside. So it's a fantastic decision there. I didn't see that at all. And I just thought, in my mind, this can't be given offside. So it is a great decision there, and it's good that the referees called it.
Look, United were celebrating a fifth when Mount was putting the ball in the back of the net. This was on 92 minutes. Now, to this decision, it would have been huge if the game had been level. This so marginal. We know the assistant right to keep the flag down. But what about the experience of the fan here as well, Jay? Look, joy and celebration and confusion. The game carries on. The VAR graphic will show you wasn't shown. So fans were just left guessing, weren't they?
Again, I mean, that one is a real tight one. I've just seen this one this morning, by the way, Hayley. And straight away I was like, how could that be offside? Because let me just say one thing as well. I don't like these kind of graphics. I need to see the source of where the ball's coming from to know if they've pressed the button at the right time to see if it's offside or not. That's just my opinion. But two, I think that's the wrong line anyway. I think the line they should be looking at is Rodri. Rodri looks like he's the one that's playing Cunha on side. And it's not this one here. When you see Rodri looks ahead of Ake for me. So I think that should be the line that should have been drawn and not the one on Ake. Again, I think that they got that one wrong.
Do you see where he's coming from, Dermot?
Not at all.
Thought so.
Dermot, you never would see where I'm coming from.
You've got to be fair. The technology is technology. It's there for everybody. Yeah. It's got the tolerance level built in. The semi-automated goes on the furthest player back. They decide it's Ake.
Yeah, but I'm saying that when the people in the VAR room have with the technology, they have to stop the situation of when the ball leaves that player's foot. So they can get that wrong to determine that line, right? So that's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the technology. I'm talking about when they stop it at source, when that ball leaves, whose foot, was that Ahmad? When that ball leaves Ahmad's foot, is it the right point? Or have they done it a freeze frame too late? Because that would explain if it's offside or not. That's my thing. That's why I need to see the cartoon of where the ball has left the player's foot. That would explain a lot more to me, and I think it would show a lot more, because that way we can definitively say if that's right or wrong. The technology is always right. I think that when the people in the VAR room press the button of when that leaves the player's foot can be wrong. That's what I need to see going forward. And
by cartoon, you mean the advanced technological illustration of a player?
Cartoon, we're not talking about Roger Rabbit.
I know.
We're talking about like the advanced technology. Okay. Sorry.
Look,
and we're also questioning a very, very skilled operative.
Yes.
Who's trained for years. To be the technician.
I'm questioning it. Because we're human. You can all be wrong. Just because you've trained and done it. I've trained to be a footballer for years and years and years, but I can still get things wrong.
Perfect. That's absolutely right.
I'm far from perfect. But at the end of the day, people can still make mistakes. And that's why I'm saying I need to see on the advanced technology pictures of when the ball has actually left the player's foot. And I think that would explain a lot more.
Okay. Well, we want to explain a lot more, so we need a lot more time. So we're going to try and get through as much as we possibly can. But thanks for that there with that derby. What about Arsenal? Now, they should have been awarded a clear penalty against Nottingham Forest for handball, and Oliver said no. VAR backed the call, saying it came off his shoulder first, and the arm was in a natural position by his side. What do you make of the decision?
His own shoulder. I don't think there's much to argue about, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, again, I agree. The rules are if it comes off your body and goes onto your arm, it's not a handball. That's obviously happened there. I think, is it Elliot Anderson? Elliot Anderson's bumped into Aina, which has knocked him onto the ball. So again, for me, that's an accident. I don't want to see penalties for that. I agree with the officials there. It shouldn't have been a penalty. It's a correct decision.
Yeah, I started by saying Arsenal should have been awarded a clear penalty because that is what Mikel Arteta actually thought. He disagreed with the Premier League's match centre explanation. This is that there. The referee's call of no penalties to Arsenal was checked and confirmed by VAR, with it deemed that the ball was played off Aina's shoulder first, exactly while his arm was also in a natural position. So given this explanation, do you think there was enough evidence for VAR to just overrule the referee's original decision?
I just can't see the VAR's got anything other to do than say to Michael Oliver, well done, play on.
Yeah.
It's just... Conversely, I also saw Sean Dyche's interview. He says, definitely not a penalty.
Yeah, well he argued you might as well cancel football if it was given a penalty.
I love Sean Dyche. I think Sean Dyche is a breath of fresh air. I mean, Sean Dyche played, obviously, and he wasn't one of the most aggressive players, by the way. But when you see things like this, I don't want to see penalties given for this. And I think that's a situation where, for Arteta, he wants the penalty. If it was against Arteta, he's going to say the same thing. How's that a penalty? So again, it's an interpretation of who it's for and against.
Yeah, as for managers, though, and dealing with all of this, does that reflect, I guess, the wider concern amongst them about the subjective and unpredictable nature of handball decisions?
Well, see, I don't know what the big argument is, Hayley, because I can't see any reason to give a penalty. As I say, it struck his body, he's pushed into it, his arm's down by his side. There's no evidence whatsoever to justify a penalty.
And you know, when you look at Jesus there, I think Jesus is more appealing for a corner than a handball than anything. So, I mean, that's always an indication as well. But when you slow it down, again, you look at situations and you think that's a handball. But by the letter of the law, the rules say that if it comes off another part of your body and hits onto your hand, it's not a penalty. So, and that's happened there. So, it's hit his shoulder twice and rolled down onto his arm.
I don't even think, even if it doesn't hit his shoulder, it's a handball because his arm's tucked in by his body. Yeah. You know, his arm's on. If it hits the other arm, there's more of a case because the other arm's out. But the arm it strikes,
I think Arteta was saying he's moved his hand towards the ball. But again, like you said there, Elliot Anderson's bumped into him. So it wasn't like he intentionally moved his arm to the ball. It was more like his arm got bumped onto the ball.
OK.
And I'm an Arsenal fan, by the way.
Yeah.
Just for the people at home.
In case they didn't already know.
Exactly.
Right, lots still to come. We're going to run through a lot of EFL for you coming up. And, of course, review all that drama from an incredible AFCON final next.
I think special was the perfect word used there by Michael Carrick. What a start for him. And actually, if you look back to when he took interim charge previously, well, you can see the record that he had. 3 wins and a draw against some very tough managers and tough opposition, Leon.
He's been toe-to-toe with all of them, hasn't he?
He has.
And, come out on top in most. And that was such a normal performance, I would say, what I'm expecting week in, week out from Manchester United, what I was growing up, what I played against season in, season out. There was a freshness, an energy, a belief, a hunger. Desire. It had all the hallmarks that Michael Carrick would want it to. They were competitive in the midfield. They never gave an inch to a Manchester City side that offer a lot of possession. Thought they thwarted them in terms of giving them very little clear-cut opportunity. Manchester City and United looked really dangerous on the break and a thoroughly deserved victory. A lot of Manchester United fans are probably rightfully at the moment, because it's not going great for them in recent years, are getting carried away. The main person that isn't, though, is Michael Carrick, because he's saying that's got to become the norm. That's got to be the every single performance at United, and that should be music to a lot of people's ears.
How much of a statement was the victory, Thomas?
It was huge. I think he should retire now. When you just look at the record, he's beaten, all these big managers, so he should retire. But joking aside, it means so much for the people who've been going to Old Trafford in recent years and not enjoying the football, and they had high hopes with new managers, and the last one, Ruben Amorim, came in with great ideas, talking about formation a lot of the times, and yet you had a feeling of, this is one of our players, he understands the club. It was less about formation and tactics. This was about emotion, about getting everybody together, creating an atmosphere that people remember for a long time, and that's what he's managed so well. So in a way, I wish he would say he gets carried away. It means taking this emotion for as long as it allows them to carry on and going to Arsenal next and playing with the same enthusiasm.
So we saw it was goalless at half-time, and then in the second half, Mbeumo's goal. How good was this, Leon?
Yeah, it starts with a good bit of defensive work from Maguire. I mean, that's a really strong header, and then Mbeumo himself, great little flick, and then they're away, 4v3. And if there was one person out of those 4 you wanted in possession of the ball, driving forward with people running either side of him, it would have been Bruno Fernandes. And as you'd expect, he made the right pass, Thomas.
Mm-hmm. Well, but also that's his job, to score goals in Mbeumo. That's what I brought him in. I think it's a perfect counter-attack, and you just described it perfectly. And having him at the end of it was, that was the beginning where the dominance led into the first goal. And that just didn't stop there.
I mean, they stretched this Manchester City team. They got people behind. This is really good from Dorgu, really poor from Rico Lewis in the sense that he does have him for one moment, doesn't see the run, doesn't anticipate it, but that was the hunger from Manchester United I was describing all over the pitch, the desire to keep on running on the off chance that they got a bit of benefit from it. And in football, that's kind of a large part of the game. You make runs just in case things fall your way. Michael Carrick has definitely instilled that in his football club. The distance that they covered, the opportunities that they created for themselves because of it, and the chances that they took was exciting football at United.
Dalot, he received a yellow card in the opening half. Leon, I know you have your thoughts and opinions on this one. Should it have been a yellow? Yeah, I think it should have. I do understand it's quite a low challenge in terms of Doku is quite low, and the actual challenge from Dalot ends up not being too high off the floor, but a straight leg into a straight knee that is then propelled backward. I don't care if it's glancing. That is one of the tackles that we do not want to see in football. Could it not have been more than that, though?
Yes, I think Dalot should have not complained in case he got a sent off for this one, because it's so dangerous. You know, you can do all sorts of damage with this. I'm sure there was no intention, but that doesn't matter in the end.
Should have been a red.
And I think he was quite lucky to stand on the pitch.
Yeah, because, I mean, what we always say about going into these tackles is endangering the opponent. And there's no doubt that catching somebody in the knee like that, locking it back, is as dangerous as it comes in terms of kind of career-threatening tackles. And that was, I mean, I think it was also described as it was OK because it was a glancing blow. Well, he's very fortunate it was only a glancing blow, because if it wasn't, his knee could have looked a lot different than it ended up looking.
So it ended with a Manchester United victory, and a very important one in the statement, as we said. So with Manchester United, they're not in any European competition, so it's all focus on the Premier League. What can be achieved, do you think? I mean, we don't want to get carried away. It's Carrick's first game in charge. But if they play like that, they could give these teams a real run for their money, starting with Arsenal.
Well, they're in a good position. They're in fifth place, and that's why they've got every reason to be optimistic. So now there's a new kind of atmosphere, a new spirit of togetherness, which is always the basis. And you know, looking back on Ruben Amorim, you know, he didn't leave this club in a really, really bad position. That's why it's a good place to be in. However, they know the competition is a tough one. There are so many teams in there, clearly above them, but even below them, that can beat them at any given day. But maybe the change in management came at the right time, because, as you just said, they can focus now on qualifying for Europe, qualifying for Champions League. That's where the club belongs to. Let's be honest. You know, I'm the same. You know, having played against them back in the days, Man United, you just did not want to play them because they're just brutal, and they want to win at any cost. And yeah,
and the fans are desperate for them to get back.
They are,
to that, aren't they?
They absolutely are, and that feel-good factor is returned, albeit for one game. But they'll be looking at those next games and thinking, put Arsenal aside for a moment, they'll be looking and thinking Everton and I think it was West Ham maybe away. 2 winnable games. The rest are at home. They'd always expect to win their home games. So there's potential of a lot of points. And then the team that will be worried the most are Arsenal, because Manchester United, Arsenal traditionally is competitive. I think Arsenal would much rather it was Manchester United of 3 weeks ago that were coming to the Emirates, rather than this new, rejuvenated, energetic, confident Manchester United, who will make it a much more difficult task for Arsenal to win the game than probably they were expecting a few weeks back.
Now, it's not too often I'm sat here saying Manchester City, no win in 4. And then we also saw Haaland getting subbed off just before the end of the match. Not very often we see that either.
No, we don't. And having watched Man City this season, you think they look different this season. And I think Haaland is one example. I mean, as brilliant as he is, you know, one of the best strikers in the world for sure. But then you look at Donnarumma. Donnarumma is very different type of goalkeeper that Pep is used to. You know, he doesn't start the play. He's not the 11th outfield player that he had his predecessor, Ederson was. And that's why the style of players changed. I remember them playing against Arsenal. They had a lot less possession, which is so, unseen of, really, that he's become more pragmatic, Pep, in his approach, and it doesn't seem to fit in there. So they're winning games. Sometimes they look their usual self. And then the next week, you know, they look off and they lose games. So I think this is a really the perfect season for Arsenal, because there isn't any other team that you can think that can really be that close, because they're all inconsistent, including Manchester City.
With Manchester City's business in January, however, and Gahey, of course, about to join, they could be a real threat because we've seen what they can produce when they're at their best. And we always said that they were the closest challengers to Arsenal, but it's surprising to see them not win in 4.
It is, and I think they're fighting their way back into the title race. They're trying everything they can. Pep's trying to bring people in, move people around, but maybe trying to stop them, the opposition, bring in Gahey, make sure they're better at the back. But at the top end of the pitch, I mean, I think Haaland scored 1 in 7 now, despite them, no wins in 4, 1 win in 7 from open play. How often could we say that? Manchester City are a team that create chances, and Erling Haaland takes them. I'm not sat here thinking, well, he's missed a lot of big chances lately. Manchester City are struggling to make him the big chances, and that is what will be alarming for Pep Guardiola. They've always been able to break teams down and create chances, be patient, stretch the opposition. And at the moment, I just think teams have maybe just found a way of nullifying them, making it difficult for them. And certainly Manchester United this weekend and the previous weekends from other teams have got the benefit.
When we talk about the title race and the race for Champions League football, what would be considered as a good finish for Manchester City, a team that have won the title so many times under Pep, including 4 in a row? It feels like anything but winning it isn't enough for them, which is high standards, of course.
Well, I'd say they still try their best to win the title because I don't think Arsenal has had a slip-up yet this season. It looks very consistent. They look solid, but it's only 6 points away from Man City. Anton Semenyo, he looks obviously a very good signing. He's had a brilliant season at Bournemouth so far. So maybe he could be that player that changes a lot of things where it's not easy to pick up just Haaland and say, OK, there aren't many players that can score goals. But it'll be interesting. And of course, the pressure is on Arsenal. Everybody knows, they're the ones that go ahead. I still love watching every weekend and see what's going to happen because this season is probably more interesting than ever before.
OK.